Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact session brought to you by Project Syndicate and Sustainable Energy for All.
I am joined by Kate Brandt, Chief Sustainability Officer of Google. Welcome. I am also joined by Hastings Chikoko, Managing Director and Regional Director Africa of C40. And I am very honored to have, as part of our panel, Her Excellency Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland. Welcome. So Kate, I will start with you. So over the past decade, Google has purchased more renewable energy than any other company. So congratulations for that milestone. Then in 2020, Google became the first company to set a moonshot goal to operate on carbon-free energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, all by 2030. So this is a very complex and challenging goal. Can you tell us more about it?
So thank you for your kind words. We have been at this for a long time at Google. I often say sustainability is really in our DNA as a company. We had our 23rd birthday recently, and I've had the chance to talk to our founders and people who are at the company going all the way back to the founding, and it's something we've always cared deeply about. And I think you can see that in the early work we did in this space. To get to the deep decarbonization that we need to reach net zero, to reach a 1.5 future, we absolutely need to drive towards 24/7. And I really appreciated the comments on the last panel talking about why this is so important, right? It leads to decarbonization across so many sectors: transportation, industrial sectors, agriculture. This is absolutely critical. And also, I'm so thrilled about the research that you were just hearing about, the new IEA study. And this builds on a growing body of work that we've seen from Princeton University and TU Berlin, which really reaffirms, I think, what we're talking about, which is that 24/7 is the way to decarbonization, and it's 100% renewable energy. Other thing about that that's noteworthy is we don't necessarily need to get to 100% right now. We're seeing 80% or 90%. We're having massive improvements in decarbonization over 100%. And that's also what we're seeing in our own operations. As you said, Moonshot, this is a place where we're working to innovate and also just share what we're learning in the practice of doing this. So we have now 5 data centers that we've gotten to 90%, and then we've gotten to about 66% across our portfolio globally. And the other thing I would say, of course, is that this is all about partnership. This is not about any one company achieving our goal. This is about doing this work together. And that's why we've been so honored to help to found the Compact and to be working with you all on this journey together. And I think a few things that we have seen that are working well in our work that we've been sharing through various white papers and also just conversations like this is, first, we need to develop innovative contracting structures in how we're purchasing clean energy. And I think you probably heard about that a little bit from AES in an earlier session. Also, advancing the next generation of technology. I think that was hit on really well on the last panel. We need a diversity of technology solutions. So one place that we've been doing work is we've been partnering with a company called Fervo. They're doing advanced geothermal. We're also providing some of our AI solutions to help them improve the approach they're taking. And we're especially excited about this because we think that advanced geothermal could work well in some Asian markets where it's hard to have enough land mass to do wind or solar. And then the third place that we're really focusing is around policy and advocacy. So we published a paper a couple of months ago sharing in a lot of detail what we see as the key policy barriers to 24/7 in the US. So we talked about everything from having more regionalized grids, the importance of retiring coal, the importance of keeping nuclear online if it can be operated safely, and more. And then also we're funding research. So you heard a little bit about the work that we're very happy to fund with the IEA. This is also really important in this journey together.
Good. And you're representing the private sector. How do you partner with the public sector? How do you bring the public and the private sector together for partnerships?
Yes, I think that is such a crucial piece of the puzzle. As I said, this is all about partnership. And I think that's what's been so powerful about the Compact is that we have a place to come together across companies, cities, national governments to work on all the different elements of what is it going to take for us to get to 24/7, the data, the policy, the tools and solutions that we need. And of course, we've seen that nations are at the forefront of this work. And of course, I know Scotland has joined the compact, and that's so fantastic. We've also seen, it was discussed on the last session, the US federal government, my former colleagues, the Office of the Federal Chief Sustainability Officer, have taken this goal for federal agencies. We're learning so much by seeing governments taking this on. And then, of course, in partnership with C40, just a couple of weeks ago, we were so excited to announce the 3 pilots in London and Paris and Copenhagen, where they're also looking at what does 24/7 mean for them at a city level. So we are very excited about that work. And we're also very excited that we'll be getting to expand that work in partnership with C40 through a Google.org grant to bring it to an African city soon. So we're also really excited to not only be doing this in Europe, but to see what does 24/7 mean for a city in Africa.
Yeah, good. So, Madam First Minister, if I may come to you next. We were very pleased for Scotland to join the 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact. So thank you very much for your government's doing that. But your government was among the first in the world to recognize the importance of taking action on climate change. Your government is really leading by example. I'm an alumni of the University of Edinburgh, so I'm very familiar with all the work that was going on in the country to get to carbon-free energy many years ago. So it's very impressive what you've been able to do. I think in 2020, you reached an impressive 98.6% of electricity used in Scotland came from renewable sources. So that's a major, major accomplishment. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. So tell us more, if you will, about your targets. What role has the government played in setting those targets and in advancing those targets?
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this wonderful panel. It's a real privilege. You know, Scotland, I think, is leading the way, but we've still got a long, long way to go. At a headline level, we have committed to net zero by 2045, 75% emissions reduction by 2030. That one focuses my mind every day. And over the last few years, we have reached the position that you've just outlined there, which is, you know, I'm always careful not to overstate it. The equivalent of just short of 100% of our total electricity demand comes from renewable sources. That doesn't mean all electricity we use day in and day out is from renewable sources. We import and export, and therefore, on any given day, we'll be using non-renewable. So that's where we need to go next. We need to significantly increase beyond what we have done already, the generation of renewable energy. We have in the pipeline just now round about 40 gigawatts of onshore and offshore wind energy. To put that in context, that would roughly treble the installed capacity that we have right now. 28 gigawatts of that potentially comes from offshore wind. We also need to improve the stability of renewable energy. So we need to do more around battery storage, for example, and we have got to do much more on decarbonizing transport, heating, buildings, if we are to get to the 24/7 ambition that all of us here share. We're proud to sign the compact because it's important we challenge ourselves, and it's important that we collaborate. We're part of a GB, Great Britain-wide grid. We need improvements in how our grid works in order to achieve all of this. And we absolutely need collaboration with the private sector, because governments can't do this alone. The private sector can't do this alone. We need to ensure that whether it's investment, technology, and advances and exploration of new technology, there's a real sense of collaboration and partnership there, which is why I'm very pleased to be here on a panel that is represented by my colleagues here. So we are, I would say, humbly, Scotland is out there in a leadership position, but nobody across the world is yet doing as much as we need to do. And therefore, we need to keep challenging ourselves and each other and doing the hard work to make all of these targets a reality.
And just as a follow-up question, so you talked about why Scotland signed up for the 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact. How do you think Scotland might help advance this cause, and particularly with other governments? Because I think that's a challenge for governments to understand the importance of 24/7 carbon-free energy. We hear it a lot from the corporate side, not as much from the government side, and even joining the compacts has been a bit of a challenge. So how might Scotland help in that regard?
Well, in a number of levels. I mean, I think the first thing we've got to do is recognise the complexity of it and the challenge of it. I know that it is not easy to reach 24/7 carbon-free energy for a company. That's really difficult. It's even more difficult to do it for an entire country, given the complexity of energy use and energy systems. So we need to recognise that. But one of the most important things that governments do or should do is set the vision of what we're trying to achieve, that then corrals the efforts of public sector, private sector, all of the players towards a goal. It's very difficult to achieve something in life if you don't know what it is you're trying to achieve. So that ambition is really important. And then, so we can help to galvanise and encourage others to do likewise, like Scotland is doing at this COP on loss and damage, for example, provide some leadership, both in what we are seeking to encourage others to do, but also in the hard work and the complexity of how we then turn that into action. The gap between rhetoric and reality bedevils the whole climate debate, and it's about how we work together to close that gap that is the biggest thing all of us have got to do.
No, thank you for that. And then just staying with the public sector. So Hastings, coming over to you. So C40 works with the 100 most ambitious mayors taking climate action and is the latest signatory to the 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact. So another, I think, a round of applause for another new signatory. So with urban areas responsible for 2/3 of global energy consumption, cities have a unique role to play, of course, in decarbonization efforts. So C40 has been working closely, I think, with Google to advance 24/7 carbon-free energy in cities. And I think you've also announced a dedicated pilot cities program at the World Mayor Summit last month in Buenos Aires. And we've heard that this program will expand in Africa thanks to google.org. So that's huge news, I think, as well. So tell us about the role of cities and what role they can play in ensuring that every hour of every day their residents are enjoying carbon-free energy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, let me just say I get inspired when I see governments lead from the front. So really, really, you're an inspiration. What you're doing in Scotland is amazing. Thank you so much. And I would like to also just mention that we are so thrilled and excited to be part of the 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact. And we are so excited to also really gang up with Google to ensure that we actually implement, to ensure that there is action. And we are excited because we believe that fossil fuels are not part of the future of energy in cities and elsewhere. We believe that investing in greener cities, investing in resilient cities, is the only way we can get out of the climate crisis, out of the energy crisis, and out of the cost of living crisis. The only way, not one of the ways. Now, having said that, I want to come to your point about the role of cities. To me, cities must be part of the solution, just because that's where the problem is. 2/3 of the energy consumption happens in cities. 70% of the energy emissions are coming from cities. Ladies and gentlemen, if we do the right things in our cities, we will have actually solved a significant chunk of the problem. So cities really must be at the table. Cities must really join with progressive governments and move together to actually transition to a cleaner, renewable sources of energy. What roles do they have? Number one, cities have got the regulatory tools that they can use to push the transition faster at the local level. We have seen cities in South Africa, we have seen some cities in China that have actually passed some bylaws, some building codes, and several other instruments, regulatory instruments that can move us faster because of the pace at which legislation takes place at the local level. So let's use that. Let's use that opportunity to actually accelerate the transition. Secondly, cities are also able to incentivize the business sector and other players to actually make this transition happen faster and of course, upscaled. The other role cities could play is around innovation, and we're talking about digitalization. Cities are home for most of the research and development centers. Cities are home for some of the business sectors that can actually test some of the technologies that we implement. Let's make sure that mayors understand the potential that they have by having these people within their jurisdiction and actually lead in pushing innovation, lead in ensuring that we are integrating digitalization into the transition to a renewable and cleaner energy. I think I'll stop there for now, and maybe.
Follow-up question of you. So the Pilot Cities program is expanding to Africa. So what do you expect out of that pilot, and why expand to Africa? What are you looking for in Africa?
Right, that's a good question. Thank you so much. And thank you to Google for actually partnering with us. I think let's start by really talking about the facts in Africa. 600 million people do not have access to electricity. However, we have enough renewable energy that can actually clear that deficit. If you look at solar alone, Africa, where we are now, we have much sunshine. I can tell you that we can actually generate 650 terawatt hours per year of energy from solar. If you look at wind energy, some geographies within this particular continent can actually, we have actually opportunities to tap into wind energy. And we can generate about 450 there, about 1,000 terawatt hours per year of energy. So there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity in Africa to ensure that African cities can tap into sources. In some cases, it's not a transition. In some cases, is to actually improve access. Yeah. We are talking of cities that are, if there are some colleagues from Africa here, they understand the word load shedding. Cannot actually supply electricity to the residents 24 hours for everyone. So they supply this area now, that area now. Yet we are sitting on this opportunity, these terawatt hours that remain untapped. Our expectations, going to your question, is to ensure that through some of the C40 commitments, like the Clean Energy Accelerator, and also our white paper on 24/7, we would like to increase action on renewable and clean energy. We know that the mayors have committed. They have signed up to the Clean Energy Accelerator, but we want to translate that commitment into action. And we want to ensure that they are high impact actions, actions that actually hit the head of the nail, high impact actions that can accelerate the transition. Already some cities like Durban are actually moving towards 100% renewable energy by 2050. They have those roadmaps. We have Lagos, which actually is looking at the potential mix of solar and charging in their city. We need more of that. And this partnership, this partnership in Africa will actually ramp up the action that we are doing in the region.
No, absolutely. Before we finish up the panel, I want to come to each of you one more time and ask for one succinct sentence. What do you want the audience to take away from this?
I think to build on your great remarks, it's all about ambition to action and how we can come together in partnership to drive towards 24/7.
It's hard. It takes a lot of hard work and innovation, but it's really, really exciting. And if we can achieve this, then what we bequeath to the next generation is absolutely awesome. So we should absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
We need to focus on impact. We need to focus on high impact actions. And for us to get that, we need to put money where our mouths are. We need investment, we need finance flows from the developed parts of the world to developing countries, but also moving further, finance flows to cities where the problem is.
Thank you. Thank you to our wonderful panel. Thank you all very much again. Thank you for the online audience. Thank you for our esteemed panel.